Good evening and welcome to this special broadcast. It is brought to you by Government Communication and Information System. Dumelang realita misha realidumedisa leperile. Wherever you might be listening to us, thank you so very much. Our special broadcast is brought to you also by the Department of Justice and Correctional Services. And it is an every Thursday broadcast which deals with issues that have legal connotation and also that are of legal importance in various ways. So without any further ado, I'm going to just say to you, today it's quite a very disturbing kind of discussion. It disturbs the mind, it disturbs the soul, it disturbs the human element of living life freely, where we said South Africa is going to be free for all. But is it free for our children? Is it free for our women? Is it free for you as men? Is it free for businessmen? Is it free for people to do anything that they need to do at any given point? Those are the questions that we will have to discuss amongst ourselves as Umphakathi wase Mzansi Africa, as community of South Africa. I would really like us to call in. Tonight we are on 0800 142 446. 0800 142 446 is the number to dial and engage our guests tonight. And today I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to ask my guests tonight to introduce themselves without me having to represent their names. It doesn't mean I don't know them, but I want you to hear it from them themselves. All right. Jaqui ngathoma.
Jaqui Mofokeng, ke member ya Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa, ke member wa Parliament gape ya Legislature ya Gauteng.
All right. Me oka bulela batheletši gore wena mama.
Dumelang, nna ke Phuti Sylvia Maphalamdaka ke sefane saka gae ke tswa Limpopo ke co-convener ya Limpopo mo Progressive Women Movement of South Africa.
Re lebogela gore le na le rena tonight, and where we are talking about the summit that kick-started today, and the president opened that summit. It's called the Gender-Based Violence Summit. And this is no ordinary summit. I must say, Muthelech, this is no ordinary summit. This is work in action. It's just that the work has to start by talking somewhere. And it is a national summit. Don't mind it being in Gauteng. May it actually covers everyone. That is where we need to start, and then it needs to go throughout to all the different parts of South Africa, whether or township or informal settlement, or whatever you call yourself, as long as you are cohabiting amongst yourself as the community. Give us an ear or give us your contribution tonight. 0800 142 446. Jaqui, let's talk about what the summit is bringing through representation from different organizations. I know you represent one, but you are one in many.
This summit is a summit of women of South Africa. And I think you know that it started because of the total shutdown. And women in South Africa are agreeing across all organizations that the demands that were written or they were given to the president, the 24 of them, we all agree with them. And today we had women speaking, and most of the South Africans, they realized that it won't be business as usual, because we saw women with scars, and I'm sure our president is the most traumatized as we are. And we saw women that are in prison, and it's not what we want to see. That the women actually who will serve, who will get a life sentence, and a man gets 20 and get parole after 5 years. And those are things that we want to talk about, to say that this summit should change the lives of all. Bomme le bontate ba tshwantse ba berekisane ko malapeng, because dilo tse di starta ko malapeng. Now re na le di commissions, and in all the commissions tse di leng teng go bontshiwa gore tshwantse go bolediwe ka prevention. Re tlo reng ka prevention, he re tloga mo prevention re bolele ka molao le di policies tse re nang le tsona, and re agree gore government ya rona e na le di policies. Problem ya rona ke implementation. Response and support e le tholang ko maphodiseng, e batho ba e tholang le ko di social workersing, ko justice system ya rona go na le bokoa bo bo bontshitsweng gore re tshwantse re improve. Ba bang ba boletse ka accountability le resourcing, and ba bang ba bua ka communication le coordination. Ra etsa mesebetsi metle mara pala ko communicator, but the most important part e tlhahile mola ke implementation. Police are failing us, re ka se fitlhe, but at the same time re maphodisa ke batho. As they do that work le bona, they must get debriefing. The shelters tse ba di buang, they are not coordinated and they are not uniform. The other big thing e buile mola ke tabeng ya di protection orders. Mosadi o mo wana kono kra di protection orders tse 10 mo jareng, because a hona coordination. Now we are saying once your protection order is confirmed by the court, we must know that you must be registered, so that if you live here in South Africa, you go to Limpopo, once you do something wrong, it must register in Limpopo. Tabaya jurisdiction, it has been a problem. And we are hoping that for the young people and all women of South Africa, because they fought for this space, we must actually work together and make sure that the laws that are there, they should be the laws that are actually implemented. And we agree that we have been failed.
Thank you so much, Jaqui Mofokeng, for that introduction. And maybe just 2 sentences before you leave us, Meputi. The experience in terms of localizing or provincializing this now, in terms of where do you stand as Limpopo? Because I know when I met Jaqui, you come from the same organization. But let's hear the Limpopo part of it. What is it bringing into this summit that is taking place at St. George's in Centurion?
This summit is bringing freedom to the women of Limpopo. Remember, Limpopo is a rural area.
Yeah.
That is where the culture and tradition is highly respected. So this summit, out of its resolutions and all discussions, and especially out of the survivors, that women of Limpopo, we saw them coming out. The raw information that came straight to us will free us, all of us. Limpopo will not be the same anymore. And Limpopo, with all its own respect and laws and procedures that are followed, is going to change. A rural girl today on the street of Limpopo is going to be somebody else, and is going to be benchmarked with somebody else from Gauteng. They will be no different. We are very happy about it because it's a national summit.
All right, thank you so very much. And make it Lotla, so that she introduces herself, but a little bit, Jaqui, in terms of the opening by the president, who actually is fully behind this summit. What is your take on the speech of the president, and what is your take in terms of from the women's perspective?
I think the president did listen to women, and he started by acknowledging Menyuko Lebohang Shikwambana, because she was very clear that we have 24 demands, but this 5 is what we are going to prioritize, summing them up. And the president said, we agree with all. And the president even said, I understand And now we have to work together in making sure that all these things that are happening are not going to happen again in this country. We are hoping that everybody spoke about the implementation that is a problem. And we are hoping that this implementation problem will be something of the past. It cannot be that we are now in government for almost now going to be 25 years, and then we can't get things right. Yes, we understand, but we are saying that the young minds and the people that are there that are driving us, we have to respect them, and the country must listen, because these are the children that have seen things happening. And also we have seen things happening. But what should happen is that laziness in parliament, whether in parliament, in council, everywhere, people must be able to work. But we still say that our functionaries, as in the commission that I was in, we were talking about, we understand you are social workers, you are police and all that. You also need to speak for yourself. You need debriefing. But people must be assisted. But we really appreciate what President has said, and we're hoping that the call by the total shutdown is something that is going to be bear fruits.
All right. Thank you so very much. If you have just joined us, this is a special broadcast brought to you by Government Communication and Information System, as well as Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. We have been talking about these things. Today, I would really like us to talk towards action. If you are a policy maker out there, if you are a legislator out there, if you are somebody in the position of power who's been sitting and politicizing this beyond what it needs to be, please, today I do not want to hear a sermon. I want to hear action. 0800 142 446. 0800 142 446. Me ke tlo kopa hore that you introduce yourself to the listeners and what you represent and what is your take on the summit. All in one.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Dr. Olive Shisana, and I'm Special Advisor to the President on social policy.
Yes.
So the issue of gender is something that he asked me that I should actually work on. And it all started, obviously, when Total Shutdown had their own protest, and they came into the Union building, and they've been to Parliament as well as the Constitutional Court. And they came in, and they raised concerns about the way the government was actually handling the whole issue of gender-based violence. They had about 24 demands, and one of them was obviously that there should be a summit. And this summit is a result of that call that they made as one of the demands. So finally, the day came. We organized it. It wasn't easy, because there are many different interests.
Yes.
But the most important thing is that the women of South Africa were debating and discussing and wanting to see something concrete coming out of this summit. So they came, and in numbers, we had expected 800, but we ended up with more than 1,000 people.
Yes.
More than 1,000 women. They were very excited, and they came in and they raised their concerns. They raised the concerns that were so painful for us to listen to. Not that we did not know what women were going through, because we all have relatives. We've got relatives who are going through the same things for years and years and years, you know, having difficulties in terms of dealing with the consequence of gender-based violence. And so they all came and they spoke. They structured the program in a way that allowed for survivors to come in and give their own feelings about what really happened, why situation is like that, and then also come up with recommendations on what solutions can actually be implemented.
Yes.
Now, the president, of course, had to respond, you know, to what was said, and he responded in a way that showed that he is in touch with the emotions that are going on, and is in touch with the issues that were being raised. And it committed government that we would work harder to listen to what's going on and to really work towards finding solutions. But he made it clear that solutions are not just going to come from government alone.
Yes.
Because when they come from government alone, they may not be as targeted as they should be. He felt that we needed to work with civil society in order to come up with solutions. So I think it has been so far a very, very successful summit. And I'm hoping that through the commissions we're going to come up with some recommendations which at the end of the summit we'll be able to come together and say where to now, given everything that we've received.
Thank you so very much, Doctor, for that. From the presidency advisor to the presidency on gender-based violence, right, Doctor?
Social policy, which includes gender-based violence.
That's right. All right. Mayor, without any further delay, let me just come to you. Tonight, I took a resolution that I'm not introducing anyone.
Okay.
I get everybody to introduce themselves, and let's take it from the summit coming this way, and then we get to talk about other things that are on the agenda.
Brenda Madumiso, one of the members of the Total Shutdown.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And your take with regards to the president's opening, your take with regards to the aim and Mokowataba, which is talking gender violence, gender-based violence. Let's talk about that from the Total Shutdown point of view, ma'am.
I think the president listened today. Oh, he has.
Let's not be political about this. Let's be human.
I'm giving it to you to real.
All right.
He listened from the 1st of August. So today what he has done is he has given us the first demand. That is demand number 1. If you look at that demand number 1, is broken down into 3.
Yes.
It's the summit, but setting a tone and a message to the whole country that we cannot continue to condone gender-based violence. So he spoke about it frankly and hope openly, because these are subjects that are very difficult for a lot of us to talk about, especially men. Right. So if he does it, we are clear that that message today was heard, because it came from him. He's the state, he's the head of the state. That message must continue to be said at all levels so that South Africans can hear it and know what to do next. So it's not politicking for us.
Thank you.
Because we understand that if we don't talk about it, we'll continue to hide it. We'll continue to talk about it in secret, right? We have to bring it out in the open. And we brought it into the open in the manner that we did.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
That's the voice here, Brenda Madumiso from Total Shutdown. You've heard about it, you've seen it on television, you've heard about the presidents, you've seen them on television. Women, progressive women's movement, you've heard about that. But like I'm saying, when I'm Reti, when I'm Lalil, I would really like us to stop just decorating words like Rebaruti or we running sermons. Today, let's talk. And I must say, from my point of view, my observation is as Pelelang. We need to be having Men for Change here. We need to be having the priests' organizations here, because those are the people who are an embodiment of a representation of men who need to be leading our society. And for us to be always hearing it from the women's perspective, mhlambe we're not doing enough only on that part, because I'm only a presenter at the moment, and I cannot actually be represented. I can only represent my social background, and I wish next time Samona and the DOJ, let's organize a good representation of the Church's Council, because right now we have a case that involves a priest. We've heard of cases of children abused by the church itself. We know the traditional doctors somewhere, somehow, without maybe sometimes knowing. But 25 years is a good number. Now, Jaqui, let's talk about, I'm not going to say what went wrong. I'm saying, where are we heading with this? Are we actually getting our kids to understand the humanity that we need to portray into our society? Is this the results of this topic that we're talking about now? Are these the results of failing to teach our kids what is relevant?
I don't think it's starting with the kids. It's starting with patriarchy.
Thank you.
That's where it starts. We can blame families, and you are correct to say that they are a problem. Because, women most of the time, when things are hard, they go to church. But you find that you are going to be abused in the church. When your husband, you think that things are wrong at home, you go to the church, you find the same thing. But the family unit, we understand that. But the problem is that we have a program. Remember, we have a government that said we are going to work with you, and it's the government of the people. And we are supposed to move in that way. If we are implementing something, it must start with our people. You cannot tell me that Tutuzela Center. Tutuzela Center at the back of my house, but there was no public participation. How are you going to know that Tutuzela Center, what is it that is happening? There are so many things that they can be listed by social development, by justice department, but even if I'm a parliamentarian, some of them it becomes going, and then you find those things are not there. Today we are saying you cannot have all those centers. They must be uniform. If you have Ikaile Temba in Gauteng, there must be Ikaile Temba at any other rural area. If the protection order is treated in this way in the court and you are applying, there should be uniform actually, and if there's counseling, the people must be trained in the same way. If you have never been to the courts, I can tell you, I've been abused, and being a parliamentarian, it was painful. It was like, what is this one trying to do? You are like Uhlaza government. It's about me. Exactly. It was about me. And I can tell you that I was failed by people that are still in the system. And I'm not going to keep quiet. That you find the magistrate, the prosecutors actually conniving with the attorneys because they were at the schools together. Those things are going to stop. But let me tell you, for people that never knew, I was not in the panel, and I wouldn't be. Brenda knows that I've been an activist on the ground, but I collected my files, the transcript, and I'm going to put them next to the office of the president to show them that people are in offices, magistrates and prosecutors, and they are really dealing with us, and they'll tell you that you think that we are a parliamentarian. We are human beings. Before I'm a parliamentarian, before I'm an activist, I'm a woman, and I belong somewhere.
Dr. Shisana, there's policies. Over years and years, we've been writing. We've been so excelling with paperwork and writing and all these kind of things, and implementation is a problem. And I don't know, where do we stand in terms of enforcing these kind of nice decorated words that we have been putting on paper all the time? And we have been, some of these people are politicians who have been protected because of the power that politics have. And they go into rural areas, townships, they go in there flashing money, and then the next thing, literally so, a man in a suit and tie becomes a wolf. How does that work in terms of, one, policy, two, in terms of interhuman living from the presidency side and the policy side and the academic side? I would really put that to you now.
Okay, let me start by saying that the problem of implementation, it's not only with respect to gender-based violence.
Yes.
It's with respect to health, it's respect to education, it's respect to many, many interventions that are supposed to be implemented. Somehow or other, we as a society have become experts in terms of theorizing about problems, as opposed to translating the knowledge that we have into practical implementable actions. That is the problem that we have. Many a times we have the evidence that has been generated from research that tells us what works and what doesn't work. That kind of information sometimes doesn't even get into policy. So some of the policies that we have, good as they may be, may not actually be appropriate for reducing gender-based violence or even preventing gender-based violence. In fact, if I were to say that the area of prevention has been ignored very, very much.
Yes.
We've always tended to deal with the survivors only instead of closing the tap. We need to close the tap insofar as getting more people becoming violated. We need to prevent that violation. And we can only prevent that violation if we understand what works. We need to look at the research and see what works. Some of the interventions that have been implemented have simply not had any impact whatsoever. So even when we say implementation, yes, sometimes it's implemented but not making a difference because it's not the right intervention that should be. So what we're saying is that let us bring together in this summit the scientists. In one commission that I was there, I was very pleased to see that it started with a scientist from the Medical Research Council, pulling together the knowledge that we know and begin to say, this is the state of what works and what doesn't work. So if you're going to come up with recommendations, at least let it be evidence-based. And I think the president also referred to that matter to say we need more research so that we can be able to find out what it is that we can do. From a human perspective, I think something has gone wrong with our society. Something has gone drastically wrong. The moral fiber of our society has changed very, very much. We no longer respect other people. We see people sometimes as just objects of our own wishes. We use money to be able to get whatever we want. We think people with money are better than people without money. And yet we forget that at the end of the day, it's who you are. It's not how much money you have. It's not what position that you have. It's who you are inside. And that has been lost in our society. We need to build our society again by starting with the values. Let us begin to assess the values in our society, the values that we inculcate in our children as we raise them. I often say something that might be considered to be controversial. And I said, I as a mother and my husband as a husband, raising children, we need to start from scratch. We need to treat our children as if, boys and girls, as if they are one precious entity. And we aren't. We aren't.
Yes.
In most cases, we'll say, oh yeah, you boy, go and play outside with the other boys. Why are you here?
Come later.
Yeah, come later. You the girl, come here. Let me show you how to cook so that you know at least when you grow up, you can be able to cook for your husband.
What kind of wife are you going to be?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're not training our young boys right from the beginning to say, this is your sister, this is me, my mother, this is your cousin, and all this. But treat them the same way that you like to be treated. We don't do that. Yeah. And we need to go back to those basics.
I wish the boy child that you're talking about, Doctor, they were my mother's son. And most definitely, they would know how to cook today. They would know how to wash their own clothes. They would be knowing how to treat somebody else better. And we're not only talking male, female. Because I always say, in our African way of doing things, we don't have a she, a he, and he. And when we start from there, that's where the basis is. Brenda, I'm going to talk with you about access to justice.
Yeah.
How much access do we have? And how much access don't we have that is bringing us to this situation at this point in time?
Access to justice depends on how much money you have. The more money you have, the easy is it for you to access justice.
Is it supposed to be that way?
No. We say in our constitution that all of us have got basic rights, right? And access to justice is but one of the many rights that we have. But the many South Africans cannot access justice precisely because of how prohibitively expensive it is. If I want to appear before a court of law in this country, I have to have an attorney who's going to brief an advocate, and that's money for me to mount a successful case. That's our reality. So when you don't have that money, you are bound not to get justice, right? You go to a magistrate court, and I think we need to talk about the quality of the people that we have in these institutions.
Yes.
Right? at magistrate level. Because at the High Court, I think the spotlight is there. Judges tend to behave differently because they know that there is more pressure on them. Right? In the magistrate court, things happen. Dockets disappear. A prosecutor tells you that your case is not strong. Let's throw it away. Give me 500 rand. It's gone. Right?
Wow.
So that's what happens. Right? And until such time we talk about why is it that today we talk of implementation and say that we have failed South Africans because me as an employee of government, I'm an employee.
Yes.
I say I'm a chief director, I'm a DG, I'm given the responsibility to make a difference. But I fail in that responsibility. But I'm still in my job. Right?
Yeah.
So when we talk of this implementation, and it was raised by the Speaker of Parliament today, it was raised by the President, what are we going to do different on Monday for South Africans, for all of us to find that service that we all expect and we deserve? Right? So we cannot continue to accept mediocrity from the people who are supposed to serve us. We can't, right?
Yes.
It requires from those who are charged with the responsibility, right, to be conscious enough to know. We spoke about in the commission that I'm in on social context training.
Yes.
Right? Because if you have no appreciation of what my circumstances and my experience is, my lived experience, and you expect me to mount a case and prosecute your case successfully, but I have an attitude towards your case because I think it's okay to beat you up because I've seen it happen many times in my family, right? So what is the big deal about this? Why should I put any effort into it? Because it's normal. So we have normalized it, right? We have become numb because it's easy to spew statistics. 60% this, 20% this. So we become numb, right? And that's why I'm appreciative of what happened today because it was real. We had to bring it back to reality. So then it's not just about stats. So for us to have access to justice is to bring back the sexual offences courts, right?
Yeah.
This government, with the funding from different funders internationally, decided that we're going to have rollout a number of Tutuzela centers, right?
Yes.
One-stop service.
Yes.
You go in, if you are raped, you go in, you're able to get a DNA test, you're able to give your statement, and prosecution happens.
Meet a counselor.
Everything, one stop. Brilliant idea, right? Halfway, these centers can't proceed because there's no money.
Yeah.
That's an indictment.
We'll talk about the commodifying of these kind of issues because it's human issues more than it's business issues. And we are treating them as businesses. Anyway, let me just get the two callers because I even forgot about that we need to be having callers because there's so much to talk about actually. Line number 2, Grant from Western Cape. Hoe gaan het, Grant?
Baie goed, dankie self, my vriend.
Baie dankie. Welkom by die program.
Baie dankie en goeie maand aan
I'll
al
hear from you.
Yeah.
Tell me.
All right, let's give Grant a chance. I think he wants to speak to the panel. Grant, I have Sis Brenda, I have Dr. Shisana, I have Jaqui Mofokeng. Please talk to them, my brother.
All right, good evening, ladies, and thank you for a very informative program. I'm sitting here listening to Rooster FM in the Western Cape, and you know, one thing I realized, this summit you're having there today, and I know some of the guests has alluded to it, but I think this needs to be rolled out throughout the country. On a Friday evening, when the truck comes from the farm areas, and they bring the farm workers to the town to come and draw their salaries. These beautiful young men and young ladies, some older, they spend their money on all kinds of devastating things, and for example, alcohol. And the result on a Friday night, you will look at Worcester Police Station. There's complaints of domestic violence. They haven't even gotten home yet. They still come from work, coming to draw their money from the account. There's a plight and a need for government to spearhead this kind of programs right into the heart of rural areas like Worcester, and that is my appeal tonight.
All right. Is that all, Grant, that you had for us?
That's all I have. Furthermore, I've received lots of information listening to this program tonight. Thank you very much.
All right. Baya tanki, and let it spread all throughout to Worcester and Paarl and all those Western Cape places where rural areas might not look like rural areas, but they are, because it looks posh in Western Cape. But anyway, without getting into Grant's comments, Jaqui, what do you have to say on that one?
I think Grant, he's somebody who's in touch.
Malome ke tlokopa, yeah, all right.
I think Grant is in touch with the communities. It's very important that when people go and work, they must be able to bring something home. But this issue of people getting money and go and drink, the other question it will be, if they are abused or there's any abuse, how many cases have been opened in the Worcester police station? Remember, the other part that we are also, is a gripe. Domestic Violence Act, it says that when you arrive at the police station, they must be able to register your actually, there must be a register in the police stations. But I can tell you now, police stations are not doing anything about the register. If you can go to the nearest Insani site and check now, I don't think there's a domestic violence register. And that would be something that was going to tell us in Worcester, after all that, people will fight, will be raped, and all that. Are those charges or anything registered?
Yes.
But we really discourage things like that. And I agree with Grant to say that education, education, education.
Thank you so much, Magic. Doctor, mix it with that commodifying part. Since Brenda has alluded so much to Fagi Maluzobon, Mangena Mali, Kofa. And it might feel nice to say it, Uguti, no, the law is for all of us and everything, but at the end of the day, there is this private schooling part of the law, and there's this common public schooling of the law. How do we get rid of that and make just one law that is not ruled by how much you got?
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, it's a question of massive inequalities that we have in our society.
Yes.
South Africa has got massive inequalities that are largely due to income inequality. There are inequalities based on gender. In terms of men and women, we don't earn the same amount of money, even if we do the same type of work.
Yes.
We have inequalities in terms of access to health services. If you are wealthy, you will have a health insurance or medical aid. If you are poor, you will not have that. So when you are a survivor of violence against women, you need to get services. Of course, you'll go to those services, some of the Tutuzela centers that are not functioning very well, which there's no resources for them to give you the better services. So that inequality, it translates itself into, it impacts many things that you experience in life, many things. So the concern that we have is that in our society, how do we end these inequalities? How do you equalize this?
Yes.
We try to introduce national health insurance, for example, as something that, in fact, if you look at what the Commonwealth is trying to do, is trying to take gender-based violence and integrate it into universal health cover and say, establish one-stop centers that are run by the health sector, that are not run from the police, but are multi-sectoral. But the first point of call where you're supposed to go to should be a good functioning health system where they can be able to collect all the evidence that you need You need that evidence in order that when the case goes to court, you have the information. Now, if gender-based violence happens to someone who is wealthy, who's got resources, their case is likely to go forward very easily because of the fact that they will have gone to a health facility that would have collected all that information very well. They'll be able to afford a very good lawyer. They will be listened to because they are financially well off. You who's poor, you first have challenges even when you get into the facility. No one has any interest in you because of the fact that you really are nothing.
Yes.
We need to change that and start saying we are all South Africans. We must be treated the same way. And so the first part of it is let's end inequality. Overall, it will help in all aspects of what we're looking at.
Before there was a Tusong Service Center in Colesberg, and even now, everybody goes to Kimberley, which is 240 kilometers from Colesberg to Kimberley to get everything, starting with an ID, reporting a case, and all those. There is a police station over there, of course, but it's at a point where police station, all those police guys, they just abantu bomphakathi nje. They know each other. They can talk all these things. I'm just giving a perspective to what you're saying to say, first, a woman will have to organize transport to go 240 kilometers to Kimberley to actually report a proper, if he is, let's say, abused by a male police guy in Colesberg. But anyway, that's a fact. Let's just take, Kuli is from Uppington, right? Not Kamnyamazan. All right. Kuli. Okay. Helen is from Buipatong. Hello, Helen. Hello, Helen. All right. Sis Brenda, Grant was saying that in the rural areas, it starts with abantu abakholile man. Bayahola, the next thing baya go di shebiningwa. Goba monate, and then mina now siyafai. And then now like, but you just offered me, and it's like, yeah, nyashaya me. And he's saying on a Friday, tomorrow, not anytime, tomorrow, the Worcester police station will be full of people who are coming to say, I've been beaten. I said no, and he just wanted to hit me, and all those kinds of things. Now, I'm saying, as Total Shutdown, is there any engagement that you're having with all those guys I said by Shotala today? What is your experience in interacting? Because I know you do quite a lot of work in terms of preventing, supporting cases and all those interactions. What is your take in terms of the response of La Abashotala, which is the men of different kinds, of different leadership, of different status in our societies?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm going to give you a real raw example that just happened today in a commission.
Please do, ma.
Men are invited to the summit because it's a gender summit. A chief stands up to say something and tells us that he needs to be respected. It nearly derailed that commission, because that chief had earlier told a woman in that commission that she's wearing a short dress.
Wow.
And in his culture, women cannot be seen in a short dress. She must close her legs. Right? And the conversation had to happen with the chief. Yes. For the chief to understand that we have a constitution in this country, right? That is the supreme law of the country. The traditional court, the traditional bill, takes its cue from the constitution. You might not like the constitution because you believe that you're a traditionalist.
Yes.
Right? But that constitution gives me the right to choose. Right? And that must be respected. And we realize that this conversation between ourselves as men, between men and women, have to continue. Because your view of violence and the language that you use, you use as men,
Yes.
right, must be addressed, right? And the sooner you stop being defensive, the better for yourselves as men, right?
Yes.
Because immediately we raise these issues, you put your hands up, your guard is up, because you think we are attacking you.
Yes.
It's not about you. It's about me sharing with you my experience. Right? And I'm saying to you, look at the man next to you when he decides to call me a slut or decides to slap me or things that because he bought me a glass of wine, he's got the right to violate me. And you laugh about it over a braai as men. You don't call each other out.
Yes.
That's male privilege. And that's what we need to deal with. You need to start calling yourselves out as men, because when we do it, your guard is up and you think that we are at war with you. Yes.
That's the.
So we're not at war with men. We're at war with a system that gives you the privilege.
Yeah. Dear leader of our society, how do your kids wear, basically, if I may ask?
Yeah.
And as they grow, did you tell them, I'm going to buy you this skirt. Do you like it or don't you like it? For you to go into a summit, to be able to say, what kind are you trying to be towards ingane zakho? And I'm not talking only about your own bloodline. I'm talking about because you are a chief after all.
Yes.
You understand? And when you go to all these festivals and traditional mekete and everything, what are those kids wearing?
Yeah.
I'm talking to everyone who have seen how African culture operates and works in South Africa if you have never been to other parts of the country. And what is your suggestion? What should women wear? And what should you be wearing? Because does a pant that you wear define the man that you are? Talk to us. 0800 142 446. Is Helen back? Okay. Hello, Helen. Me Helen. Le kae na? Hey, taba di atina ka nnete mme wa tseba. Ke a go kwa ka mo e bile o busy o sa semeletse gona jwa. Welcome to the program ra go amogela mme. Ba go kwele ke ba.
Dumela mme.
Thobela. Wa tsela nna puzo ya ka mono wa ka ko Mofokeng mme. Ha ke re ke lebeletse crime wa bisa ga bo mme South Africa go ka setele go ya ka nna. Why ke re go ka setele? Go bane motho o tloga go botsa re ke tlo bolaya ke tlo fetsa beke ke boe. And mmuso wa rena o softigele ka tanono. Tanono ke tsa bana ba bona gore ba fa tsona ile ba banyane ka gore di soft ke mmuso wa South Africa o jwale o softigele ka tanono ene o tsiana go le ba re letsogo la mmuso ke le telele mara ja tibele mo santse gore e bele le khutswane tsole le teke mo gausi le tsene gausi batho ba bolaya batho ene ga o fihla khotho ere a gona bopaki ene motho ela ka manta o mosarishitse go tlo go mmona le mo o ne o sena go tšhalete o ka se tsoga case ya gago e tswetse pele ka bo bona le nna mosadi ya gago o boa ka ga o na le tšhelete mosadi ela ena ke re ga ana tšhelete la tsela bona be tšhunkele South Africa e senyegile mane ene ga ya senyega e senya ke rena batho why South Africa go le se khotho go a tshwana parlamente go a tshwana a re sana mo re llelago re setse re folo o bothana jwale ka kgogo ga ya la netse matšienyana a yona ga re sa tshepa selo mo lefatsheng ka bakeng sa mmušo wa rena le khotho tsa rena dipitse ka morago ga mashala why motho a ne le tšhelete a sa sware go swara ya fine go tšhelete Helen ile wa swara gana jwalo wa kwallela a le mashala ke taki thušeno a ye ke le tlogele go ba soft jwale ka tanono ke a le kgopela bana beso mošito ga o tswele pele a kere bomma go rena
mma
re lebogile me Helena kere
a nkintate
ao o itse a tla bua go tlala seatla doctor your response please.
Yeah, o buile taba e kgolo la tseba ka gore o rena re soft as government ka gore re set up ile di processes tse di tsa nako e telle go sort out a problem.
Yes.
Kuru motho wa tla a fitla re ke na le case and government e tsa nako e telle go ba e solve ntwe eo. So rena re tshwantse re lebelele gore ke mo kae re tshwantse re improve gona. Ntwe ba bolelang ka ona gore lebele di sexual offenses courts gore ba leka gore e ke re phakishe.
Yes.
You know this program and re starta mo South Africa ba ke Operation Phakisa.
Phakisa, yes.
Right. Brenda tshwantse re bele Operation Phakisa ha o tla mo dilo tse di tshwanang le tsona tse tsa crime le tsa gender based violence. Re tshwantse re bone plan gore re ka re o mongwe le o mongwe whether o na le tšhelete or hana tšhelete a ke a gone go kra molao ka speed. La bona re ile ra dira taba e botse ka 2010.
Yes.
2010 a re tlo dira World Cup. Ne re na le di courts all over motse.
I remember very well.
Ha banana o ka re wena o ka re o criminal. Ba o bitsa ka speed.
Wazala.
Ba o try. The criminals ne di tshabile. South Africa ne ile safe. The question is re ka buisa approach ela gape na gona beno gore gone go dila le ntwe gender based violence na. Right, putsisa gore now shouldn't you be coming up with those kind of strategies that we used during the 2010 period where we were able to deal with cases right there and there.
Yes.
Na ne ke tsamatsa tsileleng nka se bolele re go officing e ne ke le mo gona. Ke a lebella ke a feta ke bona maphodisa a mantši. Na gona le about 7 or 8 policemen. Ene ba dutse ba ntse ba ipuela ka taba tsa bona ba tshega. Mara, so many people, crime is happening elsewhere. Bona ba dutse gona mona gore motho a apere uniform fela gore a gone go ya a ilo dula ko mmerekong a iphina ko mmerekong a tsamaye, and yet crime is so rampant in the country.
Yeah.
Gore tshwantse re lebelele taba tse
Ra kekelisa.
ene me a bolelang kwa o bolela nnete re tla tshwanela re lebelele di plan mo conference summit ya rena e re tshwantse re lebelele plan tsona tse gore re fast track bang the solutions gore re change dilo gore government is ka bonwa ile soft towards criminals.
All right. Quickly, Brenda, before Kiako Vilagasi, I'll come to you, Jaqui.
Har kaleng ka ora ke ar report le case har bentle or ina le limit. The case is postponed 10 times is a fail. That must stop, and I think that's one of the recommendations. It's on. Re insist our case can only be postponed 3 times and that's it.
Yes.
Right? Because it delays it. Then we have to bring the culture of rule of law in this country. Lawlessness in this country is just abnormal, right? Abnormal. That all of us think that we can skip a red light.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's
all of us think that we can throw a piece of paper, give responsibility to somebody else. So it starts from all these small things where we take pride in who we are and what we want this country to be. For me, is to bring back just the rule of law, right? Yes. But rule of law it require re bone molao o enforce, right? Are being consistent, whether it's at the magistrate level or district courts or regional courts, high courts, are being consistent to bonza or molao wa sebetsa. But to swantse ba hlompe molao because go tla ba le disorder ha re sa hlompe molao. And that's exactly what's happening.
And we're starting to see that subtly so right now because we see a lot of demonstrations all over the place. They might be of service delivery, they might be of that. Today, I even saw one go summiting.
Yes.
Where Free Martha was the order of the day.
Yes.
And we don't want to get that far where people have to force government or the law to actually do its job.
Yeah.
And
Not true.
let's hear what Vilakazi and Patko are going to say. We're going to take them all in one. Let's start with Vilakazi from Mahikeng. And I'm going to ask the radio stations to give us a bit more time up until 20 minutes past 7. Because we started a bit late. And also, this is not just a 1 hour kind of discussion. No. I really wish we could have like a marathon of these ones. But money talks, eh?
Really?
They say so. But I wish in law money wasn't talking. But anyway, Vilakazi. Ndate. Badumela bomme akere la muka.
No, you utlwile bomme ba buile ra mare ke ne na gane go tswa ka ntlha gore bomme ba go sa niping ke bomme ba tlhagang go kae cause ke nagana gore bo ga moletsi di rural area di ne di tlhoka gore bomme ba lalediwe mo ntlheng ke ipotsa gore a ba fetsanyana ba teng ko santi a ba timanyana ba teng ko santi mo ntlheng ya di-protection order ke la mme ba tshola di-protection order ke nagana ke kganya monetary support e leng gore mekgatlho e na le total shutdown ba ka ira yang go ka matlafatsa bomme sa nna kganya gore a go te motho o reipile e be le gone nna total shutdown bomme ba go iwa jang go bone gore ba le go ka matla go ka empoweriwa gore ba kgone go ka se depend mo abuses banna ba abusive for monetary support ke nagana ke ntlha ya seponisi tsone re tle re lebele gore ko section ya seponisi nka re botle ka gongwe ba ka rutiwa go ka dira ka domestic violence cases ko so itela go tenya ya ko section 18 e dirang ka di-family matters bo domestic violence o ka lebala ntlha ya ko sa lebala ntho ya ko fairness dop ya le poiselela go tsaela bana ba 14 years ba go ka ba rape ba nka re lone seponisi ba ke ba bereka fela ka section e nngwe ba ba ka section e nngwe le bone ba leke ba rupelwe emergency ka ko le member ya parliament gore a ke ntlhele ke go ka itse ko mo president o seponisi a ke se kgone go ka bereka gotlhe fela go ba kgone ka seletsa bomme ka kakaretso mme utlwe le buile ka kgosi gore kgosi ne re mosetsana ha apara sengwa aparetse ko tlase ne di botsa gore makgosi o kae ka nako gore a bo makgosi a bokgosi ba tsama a ba tsama le bomme ba bone gore mme a kgone go ka mmontsha gore kana mo South Africa go ntse jana jalo right go na di kgotsi tsantseng di le ko morago re ga the constitution ya South Africa gore bomme ba khoba dikgotsi a bala le ditswe a ba setsanyana ba teng ka ko a ba simanyana ba teng ka ko go ka rutua ka motho o go teng mosadi ba setsanyana ba rutua ka motho o go teng monna ke le bogile ra ke ma maikeng
a utlwetse wa itse o buile go tlala seatla ga ke kitlebe ke re sepela me Jaqui makgosi o kae go summiting
ra leboga di nka e tlhekisa ka gore di provinces ka ofela di invited
yes
and me a ka din le rena mola ke mme wa Limpopo
yes
o ko mo khatlong wa progressive women's movement
Meputi who just introduced herself earlier on
wa bona progressive women's movement ke me khatlo e mentsi le ba baleng mo total shutdown ke maloko mara fela hona le mo ileng gore ga bana le dilo tse di sa ba khatliseng bana le right go ikemela mara nka o bolella re kopane ka ofela
Patko o nkemele gona fela mo ntho e we bontshitseng ka maphodisa engwe e tlang mo commission ne ke le mo teng ke gore the way we recruit and maphodisa le ka mokho e leng gore recruita di social workers it should be batho ba nang le maikemisetso o ska no tsena mo because o kreile basari it tshwantse bile gore it's something that o ba tlo seetsa le phodisa le batlo kena mola ka gore le batlo gola le tlo ya fotsotso re na le bothata bo and hone ya no re batla go cleaner maphodisa sa ikemisetsa re are on the ground remember mo meeting ela gore hona le nthongwe le sa ile moheng ke rena ba le ba before 1994 so ha le bone ya no nkgede re tshwere ke dilo tsa rena e re kopantshitse ya no re tlo le bontsha re sata ka moshito le mo that's what is going to happen I like the spirit
ntwa bobedi go di protection order kana Domestic Violence Act e ditse ke rena
Yeah.
ne re le phate ya yona so ba ne ba sa itse ba tla ba tsena ka mo officing ba tlo tshwanna gore ba rupelwe setšha
Yes.
because ka Domestic Violence Act o khona o kry immediately o kry maintenance hence ba o etsa di postponement tshwantse re rupele batho ka gore go tshwantse go bane le review even ya domestic violence monitoring ke leboga gore ntate we understand a pila
Yes.
but ntho important mo yona tse tsotlhetse ene re bontsha bomme ba bua ka yona gore bomme bo botlhe ba le ba bone mola le bomme Martha ke bomme ba sa ba bantši ba keneng ka mola
Thank you.
ene mme Martha ha kena because na batla o ka se re motho a bolae ngwana a bolae mosadi a fitlhele 20 years and then after 5 years ba re parole system must change the parole board tse ntšhi tse they must go.
Yes.
And we raised it as Progressive Women's Movement during Oscar Pistorius.
Yes.
Remember, we came with a petition to say Oscar Hatswe and a Oscar Hatswa. We don't need to the case study to analyze hore re failwe ke court re ko court engwe re ko court engwe.
Yes.
It cannot happen. Nthe me Madumiso a bolelang a hore o postpone habedi hararo ho fedile moshito tsamae pele ha ona ntho ya hore di court di tlo tsama forever gona eno ha re ka re nya go re thome ka di cold cases president o tlalla
Need.
o tlalla
Need.
mara one thing me ba le ka e boletseng as a parliamentarian are the parliamentary offices a di bereke ke ja monate ka re nna ko ke leng ke a bereka ba itse bomme ba
Yes.
and ke berekang re tlo tsosa le tse e leng gore ne di gata ba bang ba di gata ka tšhelete ha e le re nya go re bolang taba ko re ro tsena ka mo mokoting o mo wane ro nkga ka o tshwana
O tlo re bola ba botlhe. Tlo re bola ba botlhe. Doctor, you have a mammoth task. Ya go direct a government program, working with everyone, of course, but leading from the presidency side, where one, how fair it is for a criminal to have equal rights with an innocent person, or even more privileges to that effect, where he's afforded to even be arrogant in the court of law, as one of the courts that we are listening to these days, Ya Muruti, a lawyer was going all arrogant on the poor victim, and everybody could actually see it, even Lehan ne o se motho wa molao, but botho ba hae bo ne bo shota in court. What's the plan? I'm going towards Rafetsa Jano.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just give you that chance of saying, where do you start? You got a mammoth task. You got hundreds things to think about all at the same time. But where do we start?
I think where we start is looking for a situation where we bring together different government departments, different civil society groups that they've got technical skills in their own particular areas, is drawing on the resources in terms of human resources that are
Yes.
available in government, outside of government, and bring them together and look at the problems that we have systematically. We will never be able to solve everything at once and alone. The biggest mistake one can make is to say, I am going to solve these problems alone, because you need to have 360-degree eyes.
Yes.
And to have 360-degree eyes means that you need everyone around who has got that experience from different fields to come in and sort out the problems. So where we start now, we look at the summit. We say, this summit, these are the recommendations that are coming out. So we need to come together, key people coming out of that summit, and say, this is what came out, how can we work on this? And then create those structures that are necessary. Look for funding to support those structures so that they are able to do what they want to do. But still for all, bring in also the international organizations that can be able to fund some of the civil society. Even if government is funding, there are civil society organizations which are happy to receive money from outside. And it's fine. the more money we have to be able to do what we want to do, the better.
Yes.
So that's what we'll need to do. And then we can come up with a roadmap. And that roadmap must tell us where we want to be within a 5-year period,
Yes.
where we want to be within a 10-year period, where we want to be eventually. One of the things that the president mentioned is the fact that we must not be tolerant of even one case of gender-based violence.
Yes.
Then we must ask ourselves, for us to get there, what is it we need to do to get there? And that's where the solutions need to come up from all of us.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doctor. Brenda,
Yes, sir.
I'm still going to say access. After the summit,
Yeah.
your voice will be very much heard at the summit. It's all good. It's protected and everything. Now you need to go to the farms. For Yunskruon, Harib, Babarspan. Any plan towards spreading the message to toughen up those women who do not have that toughness in them to actually express themselves to a point where these things is drummed into all those people? I'll tell you about one scenario of a farm where I used to go to school. Basically, in a fita about 3 kilometers to go to town, meaning we are somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And things happen. And those people have nowhere to express themselves, to a point where once they get a chance to come and work in Gauteng, they come as a very angry person who might not even like men. Now, where to from after the summit?
A lot of work ahead of us. And I think there are 1,000 women and men who are here at this summit are the ambassadors of the work that needs to be done.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
This program today, this radio station where we're talking to 1,000 and thousands of South Africans, it's another. These are the ambassadors of the spreading the message and having the conversations.
Thank you so very much.
So we'll continue to do the work because we have a stake as South Africans to have a country that we can all be proud of. That for my children, I know that they'll be safe. Right? So that should be what all of us are trying to achieve. That I can walk freely in that farm.
And by the way, let's contextualize that walking freely.
Yeah.
Somebody might be thinking, you walk freely, we oppose. We are saying, Mwana me, ayeskolo, ka 10 o'clock at the library. That's
Exactly.
walking freely. Just get it right. I was just getting in there so that we put it into context.
The third thing around this is we cannot have a country where over 60% of the children being brought up are fatherless. And every time we ask the women, and you don't ask them, where are these fathers of these children? But the question is always about, but these children were brought up by their mothers. That's why they have turned out the way they have. But no one asks the question about, where are their fathers? And it's about time that the fathers stand up and be counted in how they bring up their children. You cannot continue to run away from your responsibility and point a finger at a woman. Victim blaming and looking at the women all the time, and you walk away scot-free. As a man, you think it's okay to sleep with a woman, pregnate her, and you walk away. Someone else must take care of that child. Your responsibility, that must stop. Men must man up and do. They claim to be heads of families. They claim to be the stronger sex. Let's see.
Where are you heading?
Exactly. So these conversations for us will continue. We'll go everywhere where we are required to talk about gender-based violence, to talk about the changes that needs to be introduced in this country, and at some point we will get it right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see, in our languages, we got a way of saying things that mean practicality, and that's why I always like referring to maele a bagolo ba rona, where we get to actually say things in a practical way. I'm going to apologize to all the callers actually who were supposed to get in, because we really had to get this thing going. And Bomme, they are actually here at the summit representing various constituencies of our society. Magic, how do we activate our 57 million strong communities through the legislature, the national legislature, which is called parliament, and not just give them something to laugh about where people are actually making a lot of noise in parliament, making noise far more louder than Banabas Kolo Balemotlasing. And at the end of the day, we just but practically so, how do we filter the hard work that you're talking about in parliament into our own 57 million strong communities?
I think me baleka obuletse ka di constituency offices. Those are parliamentary constituency offices. That each and every member of parliament on Monday, you are supposed to be in your parliamentary constituency office. There's an administrator there who must receive all the complaints during the week, phone you, and we educate them how to go to offices. If I'll phone and say, for instance, I'm in Gauteng, and we have our system. We work direct, Lemme, Praise Kambule, advocate.
Yes.
And that is a network that we have done. Maybe the success of Gauteng cases might not be with other areas, and it will depend. Well, now I'm deployed in Tshwane. And Mokile Motswane, I give a table Mahata Maruku.
Thank you.
I love to Gladisa mo, Otokopana Nako court. And then now, Nahore, family, it will gemela. Prosecutor Gamomrao Kamola. Game ena aimelang family. So we sa family ko bo kwena abulelele boena bianeka mueledi wa bona. Ntwele tsalang ko o motoso ka bokwale. Ya prosecutor ela. Bona. Prosecutor ela, we are saying it today. Mechisan. Ola yena ha re motloki. Let us get better prosecutors. We cannot even get a presiding judge to be the one to defend the woman. What is the responsibility ya gai? So ha re na bona. And that is number one. There are many others. But the other thing, elong gore e tlo re tshwenya ko di constituency tsa rena ke gore re tshwantse re tsenelle wa bona mo re tlo kopana le dikgosi bo mme Sylvia ba tlo bolelang gore tshwantse re apare re lwetse mini skirt mo Gauteng and ke na le right to apara 3 inches ke na le right to etsa se we must Africanize our things here. Mo ke mo Africa o ya go Brazil o thabela o bona motho go beaching ka tse tsotle wa tshwantse e be mathata mo haimo. I must be able to wear what I want. I should do everything e ke filang o etsa yana ka mme le ntate o boletse wa re o ka setho. So we must Africanize our laws. Ha re utlwella le khoa. I'm sorry to say it. It lo re botsa gore di centimeters tse ke tse se kanang kana. Nna ne ke tlo mmotsa gore ya high ke e kanang kana. We measure ile na.
A utlila measure ile go tla.
That is where the problem is.
That's what we were talking about amongst our peer colleagues at some point. I was asking them, did that guy measure himself before he got into court and asked that question?
The matata kore molawar no ore the courts are not the way we do court work. It's adversarial. Adversarial meaning you walk into that court, I'm going to fight for you, no matter what. I bring anything and everything to fight for you as my client. So, in fact, in the discussion today at the one of the commissions, we are actually saying for violence against women, we are changing from being adversarial to inquisitorial. Because we want to change that. Because we cannot allow people bringing irrelevant questions into a matter in court.
Doctor, do you see the future with where such kind of issues that are legal, free in our courts, like to help women get to the status where they need to be free and not be abused? Is there a chance where it could be free for everyone? Maybe that might come into assist the inequality that we experience in terms of dealing with these kind of issues?
Well, I think that requires quite a lot of discussion. This country has got too many free things that is breaking the banks, you know. It's really breaking the government because Everything else, it's we want free. What we need is to create more jobs in order that people can be able to earn money to be able to do what it is that they need to do. I understand the issue of gender-based violence and the importance of having the state to take care of people who have got that problem. Yes, that should continue to be dealt with, but I'm not saying that we should be opening up for everything in terms of the legal side of anything, that it has to be free. You
But
know,
I think-
and there are also
You'll come in.
and there should also be like we used to have legal aid
We still
in
do.
this country.
We still have.
Yeah.
Right, we still have legal aid, but it doesn't seem to be as effective.
No.
Mainly because maybe they don't earn enough money, and you know,
And maybe Barry Rue does not work for legal aid.
yeah, maybe.
And,
you know.
and you see, that's what happens when you have a public defender's thing, right? Because it tends to attract people who are not motivated, right?
Yes.
So that's the first thing. But on from what the doc is saying, and that's the point that I wanted to make quickly.
Yes, please, ma'am, please. We're running out of time. That music was actually checking us out of the studio.
Are
so,
they?
Yes.
Are they? No, don't check us out. Just quickly on this thing.
Yes.
It's we'll have to find a way of how we appoint prosecutors and magistrates.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I said earlier, the social context is very important, right? But also, because in this country, problem it's not a status,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Status is a bulai,
Hey.
right? How le judge ra o hlompha ebile re tsamaya re koba.
Eh,
How
ra
re
worship.
exactly, and in fact, Harare Magistrate, we are supposed to be saying your worship,
Yes.
but those people don't see themselves as worship because they think that they are relegated and looked down upon, right?
Yes, yes.
We need to elevate the work that they do and put them on the spotlight the same way that we have put judges on the spotlight. The work that they do in the High Courts and Supreme Court of Appeal and the Constitutional Court, brilliant work, right?
Yes, yes.
A lot happens at the magistrate level that we don't see, right? We don't see, including the work done by prosecutors. We have to give them the confidence level, right? Hore ba bohlokwa in the work that they do, so that then their society views them in that light, right? It's always challenging to the FET.
Yes.
The shebela ko tlase because the FET,
Exactly.
right? So ke status
Levels.
So inequality ya rona still continues and it's growing because of how rona re shebang ka teng bophelo bona.
That's
Because re batla maemo.
Yes.
Ha re kgone ho bitsa mme Olive Shisana ka lebitso matsatsi a re mitsa ka doc or
Yes,
professor.
yes.
But ke Olive Shisana.
But at the end of the day, ke mme.
Ke mme Olive
Ke mme
Shisana.
wa motho, ke mme ngwana ge mongwe,
Exactly.
ke mmamogolo wa ge mongwe. Kopa yang, doctor?
Yeah.
Le bolala nnete, a ke re ke le botsa ka re in the first place o motho before you have any
Thank you
title.
so very
That's
much.
what I said.
Bomme, I wish I could stay more with you, but unfortunately, nako e tshwana le tšhelete. Di a tura. And thank you very much to Me Jaqui Mofokeng from the Progressive Women's Movement and also member of the Legislature. And also Me Brenda Madumiso from Total Shutdown. Thank you so very much. Continue doing that hard work. And last but not least, Dr. Olive Shisana. She's the advisor to the presidency, doing an immense work of being responsible to this country of South Africa. From me, Mosotho Stone, I lale.